I was talking fantasy football with my friends the other day. Alan, Bravo. Echo. November. Tango. On. Football. All right, well, welcome back, everybody, to the dungeon. We are here, and I am your host, as always, Alan Bentley. This is your co-host,
Josh Worley. Welcome, everybody, to the dungeon.
Also known by his stage name, NYC.
Oh, God. I never should have made you a part of that text thread.
All right. So we're off and running, though, this week. We've got a lot going on. We've got a couple callers that'll be calling in soon. Before we kick things off, as we always do, we want to talk about what kind of beer we have. Josh? What you drinking this week?
Well, what I'm drinking is, and this relates to the callers we're going to have in. We've created a number, or Alan's created a number, where we'd love to hear from our viewers like you, and that number is 224-366-7117.
Yep, that's our studio number. So also, just so you know, if you want to sponsor our studio number, every time we get a call in, every time we have somebody on, we'll mention your business name or your name if you want to. All you have to do is email us at bentffb@gmail.com and let us know. All right.
What's your beer, by the way?
Yep, my beer this week is kind of confusing.
I know.
Really. I'm curious as to why we are stuck at 13 subscribers.
I think we'd at least have double that by now.
Well, I figured we'd hit 1,000 by now.
Yeah, or 13,000. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you guys just didn't know how to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the share button. I'm not sure. But if you didn't know, all you have to do is when you're done watching this video, down at the bottom, you'll see a little subscribe. Just tap on that. If you don't have an account set up with YouTube, just set one up. It only takes a couple minutes. So subscribe. We need some subscribers. We want to start doing these shows live, and we need subscribers to do that. So
absolutely,
help us out, guys. Help us out. All right. As we always do every week, we want you guys to sit back, pop open a cold one, and enjoy the show.
Oh, my God.
And
sorry about that.
Spray the beer all over me and enjoy the show.
I didn't even shake these up. Oh, gosh.
It's all right. We need a new microphone anyway. Probably be all right someday. Anyway, we'll let it dry out over the next week. It's all good. Okay. So we do want to get down to what has got us bent this week. Did you want to start out, or do you want me to start out?
Why don't you start out this week?
Okay. All right. So here's what's got me bent this week. A guy by the name of John Gruden. Now, Mr. Gruden, I'm addressing you personally. I know you're probably not watching this show, but if we get enough subscribers, you probably will. But Gruden, racist, misogynistic emails. I'm sorry, I thought you were an adult. I thought we were past the 1950s. I thought you were better than that. That's at least what I thought. But you know what? Obviously, you're not. I'm going to say this. If you would have stepped down sooner, as soon as this whole thing surfaced, there wouldn't be the backlash that's going to happen. What's going to happen is they're asking for all the emails from a whole different bunch of sources. So you're going to see tons and tons of your racist and misogynistic and whatever else emails. And you're also going to start incriminating some other people too. And I'm kind of assuming that your son may be involved in that too. We'll see. Hopefully not. Hope I'm wrong about that. But you know what? All signs point to this being a family affair. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong.
I hope you are, and we'll see how deep this goes.
Yeah, it's crazy. And several years ago, I had a lot of respect for John Gruden and, the accomplishments that he had in the NFL. But, John, your career's done. It's over. You're not going to have another job in the NFL. So
I agree.
I'm really sorry to say that. Other than the fact that you're a racist, I'm sorry to say that. But that being said, John, have a seat. We're going to bench you this week.
We're benching you. And what gets me bent kind of is on that same kind of page. It seems like the coach's bad behavior has been an epidemic lately. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the guy that gets me bent now, I'm probably about a week late on this, and for good reason. We were sitting down watching the game Sunday, and I hadn't watched the whole video of Urban Meyer, by the way. That's what gets me bent. I thought that maybe he was just dancing at a bar with a woman and it was kind of getting blown out of proportion. No, he wasn't. I watched the video finally. Alan brought it up to me, and it's pretty damning evidence what's in that video.
It is.
And it's distracting from the team. Now, Alan hates this when I talk college football, but I'm going to bring it up. 2010, he left Florida under different circumstances than this. Questionable circumstances, including, allegedly, one of his coaches using racist slurs, covering for star players with predatory behavior. And then again in 2018, which I think was even more egregious, he left under the circumstances of covering up domestic violence. And for that reason, Urban Meyer, you get me bent. We knew who you were beforehand. There's no reason that you should have been given a third chance in this case with Jacksonville, but I don't think it's going to last long. You got anything to say about that, Alan?
You know, I'll make it real quick. So Urban, if you're going to do that stuff, do it in privacy. Do it. And I'm not condoning that behavior, but I am saying that if you're going to do it and you're out at your own restaurant, think about this. Now, you're a public figure. There's always going to be video being shot of you. Everybody wants to get the video of Urban Meyer when he was chilling at the bar, right? So the story doesn't add up to me. He was supposedly called over to these folks' table, these kids' table, and they coaxed him onto the dance floor. The video I seen, reference video number 1, does not show that. It shows him sitting at the bar with this chick, and he's getting a lap dance from a non-stripper, allegedly. And if he was really adamant about not being a part of that, he'd had his back to the dance floor and he'd been staring at the bartender. He'd been out of that bar, one of the two. The long story short, I guess, if you're going to do something like this, this is between you and your wife, okay? Don't make it a public affair. Don't make it something that's going to be a distraction to the team. Don't make it something that's going to take away from the game itself. Your players are now in the locker room and they're openly mocking you. It's a matter of time before you're fired too. So maybe you and Gruden can go sit in the unemployment line together and talk about how bad that was. I'm done with.
Maybe they could rent a flat in New York City.
Yeah.
NYC, my nickname. So
share their unemployment checks with
there you go.
All right. So enough about that. We do have a caller though. We got him on.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get him on here. Hello, you there?
I'm here.
Hey, it's Jono again. How are ya?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
We're doing good.
We're doing good. I'll be doing a lot better this weekend when I kick your butt in our matchup.
Uh-oh.
I like the pre-matchup odds. I'm sticking with my.
So head to head this week, huh?
Head to head this week,
yeah.
yes.
Nice.
We've talked about this. You can't go by what the what projections are, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I still like them this week.
You like them because they're in your favor. So.
Exactly.
So I know there's a few things we wanted to talk about. Okay. The first one. I'm going to give a little spoiler on my start-sit picks here. Now, I have Travis Kelce as my sit tight end this week. And you actually have Travis Kelce, don't you?
I sure do.
Okay. What do you think about that?
I think that's about as smart as saying sit Derrick Henry.
Oh, God. Yes, guys, I was the dumbass who said sit Derrick Henry last week.
I'm sure your brother will give you hell on that one. Let's stick with the Kelce question. Who are you going to start over him, Josh, that you reasonably have?
Well, now keep in mind, my sit picks, if you have a better option than Kelce or another option, I would probably start them. For example, Dan Arnold. Dan Arnold is owned in only, 21% of leagues, something like that. I really like him in Jacksonville. Tight ends are leading the team in targets right now. So I think Dan Arnold could be a sneaky option. I'm going to give you my reasons. I'm not just going to say sit Kelce, okay? He's really been exposed. I'm going to take a step back. He hasn't been exposed the last 2 weeks, but he's really, really been limited. Now, after that hit he took against Buffalo, he is playing with a stinger. Kansas City has already come out and said that he's probably going to take a back seat to a lot of those other offensive options that Pat Mahomes had. Look at his stats the last 2 weeks. He salvaged his game last week with that touchdown. The week before that, he didn't even crack 5 points. So he's had a couple subpar weeks, especially dealing with an injury. I think it's, he's going to be used more in that Brandon Ayuk role in week 1, more as a decoy. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he had a big game because, that would go along with my Derrick Henry pick. But that's the reason I'm sitting Kelsey.
I'm going to give you 30 seconds, then I'm going to let Alan just talk some sense into you. How's that? We've got a guy with 7, 8, 11, 6, and 10 targets, and that's with a stinger. In the tight end spot, sitting on 4 touchdowns, 200-yard weeks already. Get out of here. No one's sitting Kelsey. Alan, talk to this guy.
I'm going with don't sit Kelsey. He's okay. He had a bad week. He's what's his name? Oh yeah, it's Kelsey. You remember him? Josh?
I do.
Like one of the best tight ends in football. Well, actually, probably the
The
best,
best tight end. I would agree.
Yeah.
15
So
points this week's not a bad week either. Don't even give him that.
yeah, I'm not on board, Josh. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm not on board. I can't do it.
Okay.
I want to agree with you, but that'd be just dumb.
I'm with you on that.
So, Jono, I'll put it to you this way: if I'm right, you'll call back in and admit that I'm right in a few weeks, won't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll also be bragging about how I won because Kelsey dominated your team while Arnold put up a 5 spot. In London, mind you, against the Miami defense is going to shut him down.
I understand that. Okay, so besides my horrendous pick of Travis Kelce, which I'm already starting to regret, by the way.
Rightfully so.
What other questions and thoughts? I know we talk a lot during the week about matchups, about different start sit, waiver wire or bye week fill-ins, waiver wire, things like that. So what are some of your thoughts? What kind of questions do you have for us?
Yeah, let's get. I love just using this week as our focus on our matchup a little bit and getting Alan's take. And the rest of the season, who do you like better? I've got Hurts as quarterback for the Eagles. He's really looked well. I think he's number 7, 8 quarterback, I think, in our scoring. Versus Lamar Jackson. Maybe this week's matchups and rest of the year. What do you think?
Well, I like Hurts. And Alan and I have been talking about this for the last couple years. I think I'm a little more high on Lamar than Alan is, but you're still pretty high on him, aren't you?
Yeah, I actually have him on one of my leagues, so I am high on him, but I have a feeling that he's going to get grounded. There's not a whole lot to back him up there. He's got a good tight end. He's got a decent receiver. He's got no running back. They're running through 3. They're shifting through 3 running backs during the game. It's it's like the old saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any. Kind of the same thing with running backs. If you have 3 running backs, you don't have any. So I think he's going to get grounded, but I think it's a matter of time before that happens. He's pretty elusive when he gets back with the ball. I don't think that that's something they're going to take away from him, but he can't do that all season. He's going to end up having to throw the ball downfield more, and I just don't see the supporting cast to help him do that all year.
Tell me this, so Alan and Jono. I think your question was more about the rest of the season, Lamar Jackson compared to Jalen Hurts, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
So Jalen Hurts. I like Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. I think he's going to have a good season. I don't think it's going to be a great season. If I have to pick one or the other, I'm going to say Jackson's going to have better numbers, but I think Hurts is going to be more consistently good.
Okay.
It's about as middle of the road as you can get, isn't it?
Yeah. And Jono, I know we've talked about this as well, but Alan and I have been talking about this for 2 years. 2019, Lamar Jackson was the number 1 quarterback, remember?
Yep.
And what was the big thing? Yeah, and what was the big thing that you and I, Alan, talked about with Lamar Jackson and the next closest quarterback?
With the next closest quarterback.
Point differential.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Point differential, and he was the largest at the quarterback position, something like 6 to 7 points per game. Now, Jalen Hurts is going to be a damn good quarterback this year, but I think that point differential that Lamar Jackson offers, especially with his rushing yards, I mean, he's on pace for 1,200 yards again this year. So I would say Lamar Jackson is a big step up over Jalen Hurts. Not to say that they're both not startable every week, but I just think he offers that extra speed and ability on the ground to make up for that difference.
Yeah, interesting. If you talked to me in 2019, I might have agreed with you. I gotta say, I thought about a couple trade situations with you this year involving that quarterback swap. And you may remember this, Josh. Last year I came to you with a similar situation. Let me run this by you, Alan.
Okay.
I ran this by Josh, who was high on Lamar Jackson last year, and he convinced me to go with this trade. From his brother, I got Lamar Jackson. He was the linchpin of the trade. Josh told me this could be the number one guy. He was down when I got him with a bunch of junk. Jarvis Landry, Zach Ertz, and James White. I gave away Matt Stafford, Darren Waller, Le'Veon Bell, and Justin Jefferson. Guess how I fared last year in our league?
Not well, I'm guessing.
Not well at all. A big part of that was Lamar Jackson just did not fit the bill, did he, Josh?
Oddly, I don't remember anything about that conversation.
I got it in my email. I can send it to you.
Just kidding. I'm going to delete that from my memory, just like Alan's going to delete how he said the Bears would finish above the Packers this year in week 1 of our show.
It's not over. The fat lady's not singing yet.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But
Let's move on to the quarterbacks then. I got some other questions for you.
Okay.
So, Trey Sermon, is it time to cut bait on this guy? Or do I hold on to him? I think he's going to end up being, are they going to give him the keys at some point down the road? In San Francisco, salivating running offense.
I'm going to give you my opinion, and then do you want to chime in after that, Alan? Right now, Elijah Mitchell is the starter. Okay, I'm not high on Elijah Mitchell, and I've said it all year. They didn't draft Trey Sermon where they did for him to be backup all year. Now, a lot of people in panic mode right now about Trey Sermon. We're less than a third into the season. We just had a new starting QB start last week in Trey Lance. With Trey Lance's running ability, he's going to free up a lot of those, a lot of that pressure on that from that defensive line on the run game. Now, Sermon is a better all-around back. Okay, he's a better pass catcher. He's a better blocker, and he's a more explosive runner, and he's younger. So I think at some point, I think it's ready. At this point, I think it's too early to panic on Trey Sermon. I still think he's going to be the starter before the year's up.
I totally agree with you. I think at some point they are going to hand over the keys to him, and I think he's going to be. The starting, like you said. I got to agree with you, even though I hate doing that. I'm going to agree with you and say that where they drafted him is not a place where they're gonna stick him on the bench for very long. Now that being said, there's a new mentality in the NFL, and you kind of seen that with the Bears and Justin Fields. They're not as anxious to get him out on the field and get him out there and throwing and run around and so forth until they're absolutely ready. Now that being said, we've got 3 other rookies that started this season that apparently their coaches thought they were ready. Actually, desperation kind of necessitated that, but look where they're at. I mean, they're not blossoming the way they should be. They're not doing the things they should be yet. Now that they'll catch up to that, but I think the trend in the NFL now is moving to be more cautious with these rookie quarterbacks. So I think he'll get the keys, but I think it'll be a little while before he gets them fully.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, let's switch from my side of my team here and ask about Alan. I'm really curious in your thoughts here. Josh has been talking Cup up for years, for weeks now. He's been trying to talk somebody in our league into buying high on this guy. I think he's missed his window. What do you think? Has Cup come back to earth, or does he just have a couple down weeks? Are we still going to see what he was bragging might be the overall wide receiver 1 in Cooper Kupp?
Well, I'll tell you this much. Last season, I had Cooper Kupp on my team, and
Same.
I absolutely loved him when he was good, and I hated him when he was bad.
Yep.
And he was bad just as much as he was good, and that sucked. But I think, to be honest with you, I think he is going to be the number 1 wide receiver there. I think he's a better wide receiver than anybody else on the team, to be real honest with you. He runs really crisp routes. He gets separation. He knows how to catch the ball, obviously. I mean, he's got all the skills, all the talent. I think he's going to be a number 1 wide receiver there.
I agree.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm still high on him. You know I'm high on him. I've told you that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
All right.
well, what's
What
your?
about,
Wait, hold on. You didn't give us your thought on it.
Yeah, I think if somebody if he can get him, I don't want to kill his chance to get the buyer on he can sell high more power to the guy. It won't be me. Let's put it that way. I've been
Gotcha.
burned by him as well. I feel like he's one of these guys that he's hot. So, well, the nice thing he's got going for him is he's consistently 10 to 12 targets, which is the number one thing I look at for wide receivers. You're getting targets and they're not in the 1 to 5 yard range. You got a shot every week, and so he's definitely looking a lot more consistent this year in terms of target, air yards, share, things like that. So, yeah, I like him a lot more than I would have in years past.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough. Well, Jono, as we hit that point, we're really running up against it. We got another caller that wants to call in here.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, welcome back to the show. We value your advice, and we will see what happens with Kelty. Travis Kelce this week. All right.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks,
care.
Jono. I think we got another caller here. And if I can find it, here we go.
Oh, you got to learn how to use these cell phone things.
I know. Hang on.
Oh, we know who it is. Just call him back. Speaker.
Yep.
Hey, Mr. Jordan, how are you?
Hey, good. How's it going, guys?
Good. Welcome to Bent on Fantasy Football. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We just had Jono on, and yes, he gave me gruff about the Derrick Henry sit. So, do you want to push that knife in a little further? Or?
Yeah, I do, because that's my number one draft pick, and as soon as I heard that, I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
I love the post that you put on our group page there too, about the cake week.
Yes,
I believe he said it was his cakiest matchup. I thought he would be limited because they would be up so big, but you know what? I'm the dumbass. So I'll admit it.
That's Dumas.
Dumas, yes.
So what's on your mind, Jordan? What you got going on?
Well, I figure this is kind of that time of season to start thinking more strategically. That's the way I think, at least. I'm looking at my bench right now, and with bye weeks coming up, I'm just not really loving the depth I have. So I think, what I'm looking for is who's out there, who can I get to fill some of these spots.
Well, and that's a hard one to answer because we don't know I don't know specifically what's available in your league, but Josh, you can probably.
Yeah. I got a pretty good idea of what's available in our league, and
I
I'll
got
talk.
a couple examples I could throw at you too.
Yeah, before you say that, let me preface this by saying, Alan, there's not a whole lot left in our league, to be honest with you.
Most leagues there's not,
especially because there's IR spots.
Mm-hmm.
In our league, pretty much when a running back has a breakout or a running back gets injured, the backup gets snatched up pretty much right away.
Right.
So, but Jordan, tell us what you're thinking. Give us a couple guys that you're looking at for bye week fill-ins that are out there right now, just so I can steal them from you if I have a earlier waiver pick.
Yeah, thanks.
Just kidding.
My biggest one is coming up week 7, Josh Allen.
Okay.
So I took a look earlier, and it looks like my options right now are going to be, I just pulled the top 4 off my head, so there's a few left, or a few other ones available. I got Matt Ryan, Tua, Baker, and Wentz. I don't like any of them to fill Josh Allen's shoes, that's for sure.
Well,
okay.
I'm going to tell you right now, I like Wentz. I've got him on one of my teams. I drafted him at the beginning of the season. I drafted him. I think being in Philadelphia was a terrible thing for him. Kind of the same thing I said about Stafford. It's a horrible place for Stafford to be. It was a horrible place for Wentz to be. I think, obviously, if you watch the game, you see that he still has a wristband on and he's still looking at the plays. So that means the coach is calling the plays and he's still not familiar with the book. But that being said, once he gets familiar with it, I think Wentz is going to be a solid quarterback. I like him as your fill-in. I'm not big on Ryan. I'm not big on Tua, but I do like Wentz.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I'm leaning toward Ryan just because, he's the veteran. He's the guy that, can put up at least consistent numbers. But But yeah, like I said, I don't like anybody to fill in for Josh Allen. It's a tough one.
Well, and none of those guys are really in the same category as Josh Allen. That's the problem. You really can't look at it that way. Now, I like Baker out of that group. Okay, I'm going to give you a few reasons why. Baker, I don't know if did you catch one of our first episodes, Jordan, when we talked about his contract situation?
No, I don't know if I did.
Okay, and I know Alan and I have talked about this a few times. Josh Allen last year had a MVP caliber season. He did finish third, but do you remember what happened earlier on this, or before the preseason, what happened because of that season, that high season he had? He got a big fat payday, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Now Baker was going into this year in the same boat. Okay, and I predicted early on in the year, and he's really been good the last couple weeks. I think he put up 36 in my ESPN league this past week. But with a healthy OBJ, you have that 1-2 running back punch, probably the best in the NFL in my opinion, in Chubb and Hunt. I think Baker has the tools to be the best quarterback out of that forward bunch right there. Okay, out of that bunch of four. Now, granted, he's not going to put up Josh Allen type numbers, but he's really starting to come into his own this year. A few more big weeks like this, and he could take that Cleveland front offense and tell them, hey, I want Josh Allen money. Okay? I predicted all along this season that he would play himself into a big contract, and it looks like he's starting to get there. So I like Baker for those reasons. Again, none of those four quarterbacks are even near Josh Allen. Oh, if you want to hear something funny too, I know you give me gruff about my Derrick Henry pick. Guess who Allen had as a sit quarterback last week? Put up 34, just 2 less than Derrick Henry. It was Wentz.
Yeah, it was Wentz.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that was a surprise, I would say. I like your reasoning on the quarterbacks. The only thing that concerns me is that, especially with somebody like the Browns, they're a great team. I think they're playing good defense too, and I'm just simply looking for a guy who's gonna, like, the thing with Ryan that's always kind of gravitated me toward him is that he's always having to throw. They're always playing from behind.
Right.
And that team is horrible.
Get, it's like I just want the most points I can get, and it's
right.
Hopefully I won't need the guy more than 1 week, like you said, and but yeah, that's just the way I'm going.
Well, yeah, no, and I totally agree with you. Get as many points on that bye week as you can and get the hell out of it. I get it. Carson Wentz does have Michael Pittman, who is an emerging star, whether anybody believes that or not. I don't care. I think he's an emerging star, and I believe that he's going to be something above average. Maybe not fantastic, but I think he's going to be definitely a good wide receiver, and I think Wentz is going to bloom. So it depends on if you want to listen to a relative or if you want to listen to common sense. Whichever one you want.
Oh, he knows I have no common sense, so that's no surprise to him.
I'm sorry. What was that, Jordan?
I said it's a tough call either way, but I'm gonna think about that for sure. I'd have to agree between the two. I think Wentz just has more potential just because I think the Browns are too good.
Yeah, I'm definitely not knocking Baker and the Baker's Brownies, but I think Wentz is going to be a better bet for. I guess, and it really depends on the matchup too, because I didn't look at that when you brought that up, but kind of take a look at your matchup too, and I'm gonna give you a stat here that you may be aware of, and I'm sure you probably are, but something else to look at too is yards per attempt, not yards per completion, but yards per attempt. Look at that, and it'll give you a better picture of not only how many completions they have, but how long those completions are. You're talking bonus points for yardage too. So
yeah, makes sense.
So keep that in mind.
Oh, by the way, Alan, do you know anybody who's looking for a brother? Because I think I'm going to disown Jordan after taking your side.
I've got 3, so I don't need any more. I'm good.
Well, you lost me on the Derrick Henry thing, Josh. Sorry.
I know.
Hey, we all make mistakes. Just Josh makes them more than everybody else. That's all.
I got one more bye week question that's coming up. Otherwise, I think most of my guys are pretty much spread out. But I'm just really kind of looking at my studs, and Allen was the first, and then Darren Waller, week 8.
I took a look, and I've got my options, it looks like, at this point are the triple E of Ertz, Everett, and Ingram. I don't see much else if you'd even call that an option.
Wow, that's a hard one because you got Ertz that's splitting catches when Goddard gets healthy and gets back in the lineup. You've got Ingram, who has trouble staying healthy this year, and not a lot there to choose from. I'd say maybe punt and hope for better field position. I don't know.
Well, here's my take on that. I've been high on Everett all year. He's kind of let me down. He's been in COVID protocol, restriction protocol for the last couple weeks. When he's healthy, I think he's going to be a big part of that offense. Now, even with Russell Wilson, I think Gerald Everett could offer a really good safety net for Geno Smith. Now, were Russell Wilson healthy, I would say Gerald Everett is by far, my number one out of those three. Now, we still have to watch and see what happens to Dallas Goedert. He's going to be out at least one more week. Week 8, he should be back healthy, but if he's not, I would definitely take a flyer on Ertz. Hurts loves to throw the football to the tight ends. He's proven that.
And they do make a good combination, but and like Josh said, as long as Goddard's not in the lineup, I think Ertz is the way to go. But if Goddard's in the lineup, that makes it really hard to say Ertz.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I didn't really thought about that with Everett. I also thought he had potential, but he hasn't shown anything this year. That's the only thing that kind of shies me away from him. And then Ingram, I agree with you, Alan. I mean, the injuries. He's good when he can stay on the field, but he hasn't done that in a long time.
Yeah, I've got him. I drafted him this year, and he's been sitting on the bench the whole season because he's been injured. And now that he's back on the field, I'm not really sure I want to start him yet.
Yeah, agreed.
So I don't know. It's a tough one though. That bye week is a hard one. I don't know. If there's other options that are available out there that you might look at a sleeper option maybe. I don't know. That's a tough one though, Jordan.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold out hope for week 8 at least for a tight end, but week 7 is where I really gotta make that choice soon, I think.
Yeah. So what you're saying is I should probably pick up Matt Ryan, Tua, Baker, and Wentz this week.
Hey, if you want to steal, if you want to take 4 spots off your bench, you go for it. Fine by me.
No, I got Lamar and Jameis, so I'm not going anywhere.
All right. So, and to your point, I'm glad you brought that up because that's something we're going to be talking about the next couple of weeks. Is we are at a strategic point in the season where looking at the free agent wire is going to be huge. Injuries are starting to kick in. Players are starting to actually come into their own and starting to show what they've got. And it's going to be important in the next few weeks, especially to keep an eye on that waiver wire. So that's something we're going to be talking about in upcoming shows. So thanks for the segue into that.
Yeah,
looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, right. We appreciate you calling. We're going to let you go here, but you're always welcome to call in and give me gruff on my horrible picks.
So he'll be calling every week then.
Yeah, let's schedule the next call for when I play Josh so I can talk more crap on that.
Yeah, yes. Jono's playing him this week, and that was fun.
Yeah.
That call was fun. You have to go back and watch the video and listen to the call. It
was fun for you, okay? We'll put it to you that way. All right, Jordan. Well, thanks so much for calling, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care, buddy.
All right, see you guys.
All right, bye-bye. Bye-bye. What is this, like a caller's pick on Josh week or what?
Yeah.
I do like it, though. I like it.
I'll lay off you now because, I've had my fun, and now we're going to get down to some serious business now.
Yes, okay.
All right? We are going to talk about the Stardom and Sit 'em.
Perfect.
Now, last week, we got our Stardom and Sit 'ems out and gave them to you guys. What we're going to do, though, instead of going through those, we received some feedback that, it's kind of drawn out a little bit. So we're going to direct you guys to the website, which is bentonfootball.godaddysite.com. Check it out. We have a page on there where we show the current week predictions, which are already loaded on there, and we showed last week's predictions and how they did. So we just updated that earlier before the show started. So check it out. Get on there and check it out, and we'll move on to this week. I started last week. Josh, Hit it.
Okay, all right, and you guys are gonna get used to hearing this game from me because I think there's gonna be a lot of points scored. My quarterback is gonna be Baker Mayfield this week. Okay, Arizona is without Chandler Jones, possibly the best pass rusher in the league. So I think he's gonna be under a lot less pressure than we would have suspected going into that matchup. Cleveland is actually a home favorite, which boggles my mind over an undefeated Cardinal team. But Arizona can score. You know, they've proven that week in, week out. I think after Baker's big week, he's really starting to strive with that offense. You know, he's really starting to hit his groove. I see them throwing a lot this game. So he could easily throw for 300, 2-3 touchdowns. So Baker is going to be my start this week.
Are you sure that's the only reason, and not just because you recommended him to Jordan on that call?
There's a few reasons. So
okay, fair enough. All right. So my stardom this week is going to be Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke. I almost said that wrong. He's playing the Chiefs this week. Now the big thing is with me, with the last 4 quarterbacks that have faced the Chiefs defense, which I don't know what happened to the Chiefs defense. They were pretty solid the last couple seasons, and they just went out the door. But the last 4 quarterbacks have ended up in the top 4 quarterbacks for the week, fantasy points. So Heineke's looking good. He's got his rhythm going. He's got people around him that are making plays. He's got a lot going for him, so I think he's going to be a great start. No, I know he's going to be a great start this week.
I like it. I do like Taylor Heineke this week. He was up there. He was going to be close to Baker, but I still think I got the slight edge to Baker. But I do like him. Yeah, I don't know what happened to that Chiefs defense. Or what Chiefs defense.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, they've fallen apart.
And next we're going to move on to
running backs?
Running backs.
Yep.
Same game as I mentioned before. I'm going to go with Chase Edmonds. That Cleveland Brown defense is good. Okay.
Shut up.
In fact, okay, Stewie. In fact, they're very good. But one weakness is you can actually run on them. Okay. Now, like I said, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Arizona wins that game outright. Now, Chase Edmonds, he's used in the passing game. Mm-hmm. He's used in the running game. And besides the fact that James Conner, and I'm a little bitter about this, stealing goal line touches, as I mentioned to you last Sunday, Edmonds may get 15, 20 touches as a running back. Okay, catching the 3-4 passes out of that backfield. I'm higher on Edmonds than I think most people are. But in this matchup especially, Cleveland's going to have the ability to score with them. And I think Baker's going to facilitate a lot of that. So Edmonds is going to see a lot of those, a lot more plays.
Okay.
A
lot more touches, yep.
A lot more touches, a lot more plays, a lot more snaps.
Fair enough. Okay. My stardom for running back is going to be Leonard Fournette. It kind of pains me to say this because I'm not a big Leonard Fournette fan. We talked about this before.
He's not.
But I will say this: excuse me, he's playing the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 20th in the league against the run. Tampa Bay has I guess they have something to prove that they're not just a passing team. They actually can run the ball. They're going to run it out of the backfield more. This week's game is going to be about ball control. They're going to have the ball. They're going to try to keep the ball maintained. They're going to get a quick lead. They're going to go up maybe 7, 14 points, whatever. But then it's going to be ball control the rest of the game. They're going to worry about maintaining the ball and controlling the clock more than anything. So this week you might want to start Leonard Fournette.
And I like that call. I think at the beginning of the year, everybody was talking what's going to happen between Fournette, Jones, and Bernard. Mm-hmm. Bernard's injured, and I think Fournette has really separated himself from that running back pack. He's the go-to guy, and yeah, I would expect a decent workload for him. So I agree with that.
Okay.
And this next guy, my receiver, is probably going to be a no-brainer, and that's Marquise Brown. Now I have Marquise Brown in 100% of my leagues. I was high on him going into this year. In fact, I am so high on him this week, I'm actually starting him over A.J. Brown. Okay? As long as he can catch those passes that are thrown in his hands, then I think he's poised for big weeks. I mean, he's a number 1 target. Andrews is a close second. But Lamar is really, really coming into his own right now. He's passing a lot more. And did you see his accuracy over the last couple games, especially in those deep passes?
Yeah, he was pretty.
I mean, this is like the 2019 Lamar. And for those reasons, I love Marquise Brown this week.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good call. I think that Baltimore offense is maybe a little one-dimensional, but I don't see any reason why he wouldn't have a good week. My wide receiver that I think you should start this week is going to be Chase Claypool. And the reason is there's either no or bad juju in oh, wait a minute. There's no juju.
There's no juju. No juju's better than bad juju.
That's right. That's right. So there's no juju in Pittsburgh. So that automatically ups the ante with Chase Claypool. He's already going to get more targets just based on the fact that Smith-Schuster is out. Seattle, they're playing Seattle. Seattle's given up, I think it's the sixth most fantasy points to wide receivers this year. It's just a great way to go. He's coming off of a 130-yard game. He's going to have a solid week.
I like it. Even though Deontay Johnson had that big play last week, Claypool out-targeted him almost 3-1. So
Claypool had 130 yards and 1 touchdown. So, automatically, with Smith-Schuster just missing part of the game, his ante already went up.
Oh, absolutely it does. Absolutely.
Yeah, so, all right.
Moving on to tight end. This is a guy I really like. This is Dan Arnold in Jacksonville. And Alan, you want to say your joke about Dan Arnold now, or?
Is that the same Dan Arnold that's on Roseanne?
Yes, it is.
It is, okay.
He's been asking me that all week long. So,
it's so fun.
I really like Dan Arnold. Yeah, I hate it, but we hate a lot of things each other say. But I'm really high on him this week. Trevor Lawrence is really relying on those tight ends. In fact, here goes the sound effect.
No, go ahead.
In fact, tight ends are Trevor Lawrence's favorite target right now. So between him and Agnew, they out-targeted Marvin Jones Jr., Laviska Shenault almost 2-1. I don't see those targets going down anytime soon. So that's why I like Dan Arnold.
Okay, fair enough.
I love it. Aw, thank you, Alan.
See, you thought it was gonna be something bad, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm not all bad, Josh. Mostly, but not all. So my starting tight end this week is Dawson Knox for obvious reasons. They're playing Tennessee. Tennessee gives up a lot of fantasy points to tight ends, but on top of all that, look at Dawson Knox last couple weeks. He's had a couple really, really big plays. He's running really good routes. Solid start this week.
I agree.
Okay. You got
Dan Arnold was mine. So we're going to move on to sit now. And that's Derek Carr. We talked about him a few weeks ago as a sell high. He was averaging over 400 yards a game for the first 3 games of the season. He had a subpar week last week. Okay. And I think the reason for that is that defenses are starting to figure him out. He didn't throw even close to that last week.
Right.
They're going to have to rely on that run game.
Mm-hmm.
And that defense has actually been pretty good. But I don't see him throwing against that Denver secondary is a lot better than people give him credit for it. They really, really are. And they have that pass rush too. How much time is he going to have to throw the ball? Yep. So I don't think Derek Carr is going to have a big week this week against Denver. I think he'll get shut down pretty easily.
And I'm going to jump on that bandwagon when it goes by because that was my choice this week too. Denver's defense ranked number 2 against quarterbacks. He like you said, he had a subpar week last week, but the last 2 weeks he's fizzled. Now he's gotten over 25 fantasy points per week on the first 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
These last 2, total fizzle. Okay.
Yeah.
Now playing in the Mile High City, not going to bode well for him. I think you're right,
No.
and I got to agree. We're both taking Derek Carr for our sit-em this week.
Which means he's going to throw for 506 touchdowns.
Yes, and then I'm just not going to show up next week for the show. I'll be done. I don't understand this football thing.
No, but I think it makes sense, the argument that we both gave. For my running backs, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to do a tandem here of Hunt and Chubb. Now, I mentioned earlier in the call with Jordan that I think they're the best 1-2 tandem in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, they are playing against Arizona. Okay, Now, Chandler Jones, arguably the best pass rusher. I know people will say Aaron Donald is. But with Chandler Jones out, I don't think they're going to get a lot of pass rush. That being said, they're still good at stopping the run. Okay, that isn't going to affect their run stoppage. So Chubb, as we know, is not a good running back out of the backfield. He doesn't catch a lot of passes. Kareem Hunt does, but I think Baker is going to have to throw deep down the field more. I think a lot of those are going to go to the receivers. I just don't see a big game by Hunt or Chubb. I think we're going to see more of a 50-50 split this week.
Fair enough.
Especially because they're going to be in passing downs most of the time, in my opinion.
Yep. Okay. So my tight end my
running back.
Running back, yeah, that's what I meant to say. My running back to sit this week is going to be Latavius Murray. They are playing the Chargers, who have a solid defense. They're rotating three running backs. I talked about this earlier. They've got Devonta Freeman, they've got Tyson Williams, and then they've got Latavius Murray. All three of those guys are going to get their touches. Excuse me, they're going to get their touches, and it's going to continue like this. It's going to be running back by committee. There's not going to be one set solid running back. I think that's going to be your best sit this week is going to be Latavius Murray.
And you know who their leading rusher is?
Yep, their quarterback.
Lamar Jackson,
right.
Yeah. So moving into receiver, I'm going to stick with that Arizona-Cleveland game, and it's going to be DeAndre Hopkins. Okay. He was a top 3 receiver coming into this year, and he had a huge week 1. But ever since that game, he's really done nothing. Okay. And I think that's more of an attribute to Kyler Murray's ability more than it is as a detriment to DeAndre Hopkins' ability. Okay. Kyler Murray is spreading that ball around. He's getting the receivers involved. And Christian Kirk, AJ Green, he's been resurrected in Arizona, much to our surprise. So for that reason, DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay, sounds good. So, my wide receiver to sit this week is going to be Henry Ruggs III. And I've said this before, and his numbers are declining through the season. Denver's got a tough pass defense. I fully believe that Henry Ruggs, they don't really have a good role for him in the offense anyway. He's going to end up sitting, you're going to end up want to sit him this week because the defense is way too solid. Who do you got for tight end?
Tight end, I'm looking at Mark Andrews.
Okay,
I know he had a big game last week. That was kind of a fluky game because they had to throw. After that first half performance, that poor performance by Lamar Jackson, I think he's going to come back down to earth a little bit this week. Marquise Brown is the number 1. So basically, for that reason, I think Mark Andrews is going to be my sit this week.
Gotcha. Okay. And then for my sit, I've got David Njoku. The reason I have him is 1, they're playing Arizona. 2, he had a big week last week. He had 149 yards last week, but he's got a tough matchup this week. He's a great candidate to sit this week.
Okay.
All right.
And I agree with you, even though I do like that game as high scoring. So.
Okay. So let's move on to
Bent predictions. How's that?
Bent predictions. There you go.
All right. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
No, you go right ahead.
Okay. Sticking with that Arizona-Cleveland game, I know you guys are probably going to get sick of hearing this. I have no idea why Arizona is, even though they're on the road, they're a 3.5-point underdog. I think Arizona wins that game outright. I think they win that game easily. The second one is Jacksonville at home against Miami. They're 3.5-point underdogs. I think they get their first win of the season, albeit the distraction with the head coach and so forth. If you guys watched the last couple weeks, I'm 6-0 in my underdog straight up picks. In fact, the last 3 won by 10 points or more. So I like Arizona to win on the road as an underdog and Jacksonville to win at home as an underdog.
Okay. All right. So my bet prediction is, you're not going to like this. Most people won't. Kansas City loses again.
I do like that, actually.
Do you?
Yes. I don't know if it's going to happen, but yeah, I want to see them go 2-4 and be the cellar dwellers.
They will. They're going to lose this week.
Okay, I like it.
They're not even firing on half of their cylinders, so they're about to get cut out. So
I hope so.
And we're about to get cut out too, so we're going to call it a week. Again, email us at bentffb@gmail.com. Go to the website, bentonfootball.godaddysite.com. Like, subscribe down below. We will see you guys next week. And don't forget, above and beyond everything else, get bent
On fantasy football.
Have a good week, everyone.
Thanks, guys.